Alright, hello and welcome back. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers. And we are continuing down the endpoint security and monitoring pathway of the SOC level 1 pathway. So I guess it's the SOC level 1 pathway, and we're in the endpoint security monitoring module. And as a part of that, today we're going to be doing the SysInternals room. And that's essentially the path that we're on. I do believe that this is, it's a subscriber only room, so it would require that you get an actual subscription to tryhackme. And if you wanted to do that, there's a link in the description below for that. Before we jump into the intro of the room, just a quick friendly reminder that if you learned anything from me, or if you learned anything from this video, or have learned anything from this channel, if it makes your life easier as a cybersecurity analyst, any of those things, or if you just want to show support, it would mean the world to me if you could like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified next time a video comes out. And of course, if you could drop a comment, doing any of those things would actually help the YouTube algorithm find our channel more and easier, and kind of give us a little bit more of a boost so that we can grow the community and expand our reach. That's really all I ask from you. I do all of these things for free, and I drop at least one video a day, sometimes two, sometimes three, and it's all along the pathway of the cybersecurity analyst and ethical hacker. So that's really all I can ask, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Without further ado, let's jump into the introduction of the room. Okay, so the introduction talks about what the tools known as SysInternals are. It's a compilation of over 70 Windows-based tools, and they all fall into one of these categories, which is the file disk utilities, network utilities, process, security, system information, and miscellaneous. We kind of talked about this in the last video. The SysInternals tools and their website were created by Mark Russinovich in the late 90s, alongside Bryce Cogswell, and under the company WinInternals Software. In 2006, Microsoft acquired them, and Mark joined Microsoft. Today, he's the CTO of Azure, so he's been around for a while. He made headlines when he reported that Sony embedded rootkits into their music CDs back in 2005. This discovery, that's actually pretty crazy. I didn't know that. This was made known thanks to one of these SysInternals tools he was testing, and that's pretty cool. I had no idea. So he also discovered in 2006 that Symantec was using rootkit-like technology, and so this is pretty cool that SysInternals can detect these types of things. They're extremely popular among IT professionals who manage Windows systems. These tools are so popular that even red teamers and adversaries alike use them. Throughout this room, we're going to talk about the tools which MITRE has identified and has been used by adversaries, which is very cool, good to know. The goal is to introduce us to a handful of SysInternal tools, and then hopefully we'll just do a lot more further research about that. So we need to access the this machine right here. This is what was done through starting or pressing that green start machine. It takes about a minute, maybe 2 minutes for it to start up. And then this is kind of what it looks like when you just get into it. So I believe in order to access it, we need to do this real quick, and then we can extract all, I guess, into the desktop, and that is where it's going to get extracted, and it'll open up a new folder for us that we can access. And the certificate, it says accept the certificate when prompted, and you should be logged into the remote system. The virtual machine takes about 3 minutes to load. That is why I did it before I started the recording. And apart from that, I think that's pretty much all we need to get this done. So I'm gonna get this thing started real quick so that it can open up, and there's probably a SysInternals executable that we can click on to make this thing start running. And once we have that, we'll continue with the rest of the room. Before we do that, actually, so let's answer this quick little question right here. So it says, when did Microsoft acquire the SysInternals tool? And obviously it says it right here. So in 2006, Microsoft acquired the WinInternal software that included SysInternals. All right, to install SysInternals, we could either do the there's the SysInternals utilities index that goes literally to the Microsoft page, and you can download the entire thing, and it looks like this, where you would just download it, and then individually you can kind of go to the categories that you want and choose to download whichever tool that you want to actually use instead of downloading the entire suite. And then you can do the same thing via a live URL, which is this thing, instead of downloading this kind of portal, not portal, but I guess the browser that would be as an application on the desktop. The live link looks like this though, so it doesn't separate anything by categories. And if you want to download the entire suite, then you could download the entire suite as a zip file, which is actually what this was on the right side over here that I clicked. So this is the zip file that they downloaded, and then I unzipped it and it opened up this thing for me. And so this is all of the stuff that's inside the SysInternals suite. So every single one of these is a part of the suite, and we kind of have it handy on the desktop in the virtual machine right here. What is it? So the suite has a select number of SysInternal tools. Below is just a rundown of the tools included in the suite, which is, you know, a lot of stuff. And after we download the zip file, we got to extract it, so on and so forth. And then what we can do is we can also add it to the environment variables of the computer that would be edited from system properties. And you could either open up system properties by searching for it, or you can open up a command prompt, search for sysdm.cpl, and then when it opens up, you would go to advanced, click on environment variables, and then pick the path, which is the environment variable that we want to edit. And then under that, we would edit it, and then we would click a new, and then choose what the actual path of the thing is that we want to use. And then from there, you can execute from the command line. So it actually says when you click on new, you got to enter the folder path where the SysInternal suite was extracted to. So make this as a mental note and just keep that in mind. And then obviously don't move it. So wherever you're going to place the SysInternal suite, make sure that it stays there and you don't move it. If you do move it, it's not going to work anymore, and you need to reset your path variable. Once that is done, then you can do an elevated command prompt and then just do procmon, which I guess opens up the process monitor, which is one of the things that's available from SysInternals. And there's a lot of different things inside the process monitor, obviously. So a local copy of this has been installed for us. It's inside the C tools SysInternals on the virtual machine. And then there's a PowerShell module that we can download and install all of the SysInternals, which could be this. So you could just run this PowerShell, download SysInternals tools from that, and then it would run it for you. So the question here is, what is the last tool listed within the suite? So if we just go here and just scroll all the way to the bottom, what did I just do? I think I zoomed in too much, I think I zoomed in, and so it made the thumbnails a little bit bigger, the icons a little bit bigger, but it's I think it's zoomit 64. I believe that's what it says. So zoomit 64. Is that right? No, it's not right. So let's see. Zoom it, maybe. There you go. So it's zoom it, not zoomit 64. And that's it for the question for the installation. Let us now move on to using SysInternals Live. So per their website, SysInternals Live is a service that enables you to execute the internals tools directly from the web without hunting for and manually downloading them. So you can simply enter the SysInternals Live path into Windows Explorer or a command prompt as that, and then it'll just open it up. So if we wanted to do this, we can just launch Process Monitor from the web, syntax using something like this, right? So it would be, I guess, live.sysinternals.com/tools/procmon. That could be a way that we do it. And so it says it fails. To resolve this, the WebDAV client must be installed and running on the machine. So WebDAV is a protocol that allows a local machine to access a remote machine running WebDAV share and perform actions in it. On Windows 10, the WebDAV client is installed, but the client is more likely not running. So if you try to run SysInternals, it will fail, which would be this thing right here. And so the next step would be to start a PowerShell, which is what they did, and then do get service web client, and it would show you that it's been stopped. So start service web client, and that would get it done. So get service web client, it says that it's running, and then verify that it's running before proceeding, I guess. So there it is. And then now we can go and do network discovery. It needs to also be enabled, so that's another thing. And this can be enabled in Network and Sharing Center. There are a few ways to open Network Sharing Center, and this is the particular example here. Control.exe, and this is inside the system32 file. So I think you need to be inside this folder in order for you to be able to just run Control.exe like that. So Control.exe, name Microsoft Network Sharing Center, and then click on Change Advanced Sharing Settings, turn on Network Discovery, and the VM is a Server 2019 edition of Windows, and it's not installed by default. The feature to install on Windows Server WebDAV Director is Redirector. The feature can be installed via Server Manager using PowerShell. To install with PowerShell, we could do install Windows feature WebDAV restart. The server needs to reboot for the installation to complete. After reboot, the installation can be verified using this command. The same process as with Windows 10 client applies from this point. So make sure the web client is running, make sure network discovery is enabled, and with all the necessary components, we can access it from the web. There are two ways that the tools can be run. So run the tool from the command line as shown above, create a network drive, so on and so forth. And method 1, to run it from the command line, there it is. To run it from a mapped drive, it could be net use and then it is, and drive Y is now connected to this, and it's successfully completed. And then when we go inside our connections, we should see a network, a Y network that's attached to live SysInternals that's actually running. And now the website is browsable within the local machine. So if you just go to users administrator Y:, it'll take you into Y, and then you do dir, which is the equivalent of ls, and it'll show you what's everything in there. And now you could do procmon, and it'll start process monitor. So now that we got all of that out of the way, we can get all of these things done. So it says what service needs to be enabled on the local host to interact with SysInternals, and the name of that was web client, I believe. It's either web client or WebDAV. I think it's one of the. I think it's WebDAV, but it seems like it's web client. So let's see if it's web client. That it is. Okay, that is indeed the case. Now, before I move on, I actually do want to do all the things that they're talking about over here, because we kind of want to make sure that we have this, because it feels like we're going to be using the live environment for it. So the way that we need to do this, it started from the Windows 2019 section of the instructions. So Windows 10 client, it looks like this, and then we move forward and we need to get to the portion right here. The attached VM is Windows 2019, is not installed by default. To install it, we need to go to, it can be installed via Server Manager or using PowerShell, and let's use PowerShell just to make our lives a little bit easier. And so there is PowerShell, and so we're going to do install Windows feature WebDAV redirector and restart. So you do that, and it says it's done, true. So success, true, restart needed, no, exit code, no change needed. So I guess it's been done. So now we can do get Windows feature WebDAV redirector, and then format table auto size, and that seems to be done. So it says that it's installed, and everything's all good. So now the same process needs to be done with Windows 10 clients. So the thing that we did previously to get access to this on Windows 10 is to do get service web client from, I guess we need to be in System32, because they did that. So I can go to cdc Windows System32, and we are now there, and do get service web client, and that's been stopped. So start service web client, and now we can double check. So get service again web client, just to make sure that it's been running. Okay, very good. So it's running, and once it is running, we need to enable network discovery. And so the way that we would do that is running the control.exe, name is Microsoft Network and Sharing Center. And that should open that up for us. And it indeed does. And so from here, we need to go to Change Advanced Settings, which is right here, and select Turn on Network Discovery. So turn on Network Discovery, save changes, and that's all good as well. So since we've done all of this, this is from Windows 2019, so we did all of that, and we did all this over here. Now with all of these things out of the way, we should be able to run the SysInternals live. So let's go back to cd users administrator, and we are now here. And if I just do live.sysinternals.com tools procmon, so process monitor.exe. Oh, wait it, give it a second. I think it's gonna run. Let's see if it's actually gonna run. Alright, so after several attempts to run the live version of SysInternals, and essentially just hitting block after block after block, I learned that I can't, mainly because there is one feature that keeps turning off, and I'll show you what it is, just in case if you run across it, you don't lose your mind the way that I almost did. But where is it? So we go back to this tab right here, and it's this little feature right here that is inside the network sharing center. So if we go control and then name Microsoft Network and Sharing Center, it opens this thing up, right? And then so you go here, you're supposed to go to advanced settings, and then you're supposed to turn that thing on and save changes, and it'll close it. And then you go back here, and then it's turned off again, and you turn it on again, save it, and then go back here, and it's turned off again. And so this is the issue that keeps making this whole thing not run, because when I run all of the other commands to verify whether or not things are working, so for example, get service web client, and we see that the web client is running, and I even can check to see if the Windows feature WebDAV is installed. So we do get Windows feature WebDAV redirector, and then format table auto size, and then that says, hey, this is already installed and we're all good here. So everything about this, with the exception of turning on the network discovery, works and it's all good. It just, that's the reason why I can't access the live version of this, and I keep getting this error message, and it takes about 10-20 seconds for it to load, so I'm just not going to do that right now. But if you, you just saw that it won't turn on the network sharing, so that's the issue. But there is something that's been very kind of useful about this whole thing, is that we have it installed in our path directory, or in our path variable, excuse me. So if I go into the path variable or the sysdm cpl, which opens this up for us, and then we can go into advanced, and then we go into environment variables, and then click on path and edit, we'll see that we have tools SysInternals installed, and it's on that variable. So now when I go inside the command line and I do, process monitor, for example, it opens up process monitor via the command line. So we can do it this way. If you can actually turn on network sharing and it stays on for you, then you'll be able to do it through the live environment as well. Excuse me. And you can access all the rest of the tools that exist over here for us as well. But so it's one of these things where it says you can either install it and have it be on the path so you can use it in the command line, or you can use SysInternals live. And for the sake of the instructions and for you to actually see how to kind of type all these commands and everything like that, I'm glad I did that part, and I'm just going to leave it in the recording. But for the actual use of it, unfortunately, it doesn't run for us. And I even tried to do the net use so that I can mount it onto a drive so that we can access it like this. But unfortunately, that didn't work either. And so just so you know, as we go through the rest of this, so for example, this one, when they give us screenshots of how we're supposed to use it, they're using it on the mounted drive, and it doesn't work like that. So I hope that as we go through the rest of this, it's not going to give us any kind of issues, and we can actually run all of these commands and still do the things that we need to do. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up before we went into the rest of the tasks, so that just in case you're also running across this problem, it doesn't freak you out or bug you out or anything like that. It's just so the fact that the network sharing thing, or the network discovery, excuse me, doesn't stay enabled. That's like the big issue with running it as the live SysInternals. So that being said, I am now going to close this out, and now I'm going to go into the next one, which is file and disk utilities. Okay, the first of the file and disk utilities is SigCheck, and it's a command line utility that shows file version number, timestamp information, and digital signature details, including certificate chains. It also includes an option to check a file status on VirusTotal, a site that performs automated file scanning against over 40 antivirus engines. I've done this a lot actually. I forget in which videos, but we have several videos on the channel right now that I've used VirusTotal in, and it actually is a very, very useful website. It's a free website. You don't even need to register or anything like that. You could just go there and either search by a hash value or a name of a specific malware if you know the name, although the name changes a lot of times, so it's best to search by hash value or maybe even an IP address. You can even search by an IP address, and then it'll show you against 40 different antivirus engines if it's shown up as any kind of a malicious or red flag, right? And an option to obviously upload for scanning. So that's the official definition that comes from Microsoft for SigCheck. And so the official SigCheck page, a use case is identified towards the bottom of the page on this page, I'm guessing. And if you completed core Windows processes, which you should have done because I just did a video on it, and I think by the time this video comes out, that video is going to be live already. So you should be aware that the location of all executables is inside Windows System 32, except for Explorer, which is inside Windows. So the use case would be like this. So checking for unsigned files in Windows System 32. The command would be SigCheck, UE, and then like that. And then accept EULA, not sure exactly what that does, but it should show us what that does. So U is if VirusTotal check is enabled, show files that are unknown by VirusTotal or have non-zero detection, otherwise show only unsigned files. And E is scan executable images only regardless of their extension. So if the results are different, it would warrant an investigation into any listed executables. So we can go into our command prompt and real quick just run SigCheck accept EULA. And there's a bunch of stuff right here. And so let's see what this actually says. I'm going to expand this a little bit. So this says, SigCheck obviously is running, which is great, and I'm guessing we're checking for signatures. That's what that kind of stands for. And so the SigCheck use is all of this stuff. So that's, I think, basically what this command does. The accept EULA, not sure what it does. I'm going to search through this just to see what I can find. But when you just type in SigCheck, it'll bring you all of the prompts of what you can and cannot do with it. And so the next one that we had was to check to see if anything inside the Windows System 32 directory there's something wrong with it, right? So if I do SigCheck UE and then do C Windows and System 32, we can now see that it's gonna run. It's processing all that stuff, and then hopefully it'll come back and say there's nothing, right? Which is the command right here where it says no matching files were found. So we're checking against virus total if it's been enabled, and then we're only checking executable files. And there's a lot of executable files inside System 32, which is why it's taking a little bit of a minute. But as soon as that's done, we'll verify that everything in our virtual machine is all good, and then we'll move on to the next piece, which is streams. Okay, so this thing is taking a very, very long time, this first scan of SigCheck. And while that's running, I'm just going to move on to the next one because that I feel like it's going to take a while. It's been, since I turned it on, I think it's been easily 5 minutes. We might even be pushing on the 10-minute mark. I had to stop the recording, and then I just said, you know what, I'm just going to restart and move on to the next thing. So that's gonna take however long it takes, and until then we are going to move on to streams. The official definition of streams is the NTFS file system provides applications the ability to create alternate data streams of information. By default, all data is stored in a file's main unnamed data stream, but by using the syntax file stream, you are able to read and write two alternates. Alternate data streams, ADS, is a file attribute specific to Windows NTFS, the new technology file system. Every file has at least one data stream under the data variable, and ADS allows files to contain more than one stream of data. Natively, Window Explorer doesn't display ADS to the user. There are third-party executables that can be used to view this data, but PowerShell gives you the ability to view ADS for files. Malware writers have used ADS to hide data in an endpoint, but not all its uses are malicious. When you download a file from the internet onto an endpoint, there are identifiers written to ADS to identify that it was downloaded from the internet. So if we do streams, it'll show us the usage of it. And then there is the actual thing where it says streams, and then you just put whatever the file or directory is that you want to check, and then the accept EULA. I think it means like something use license, maybe agreement. Yeah, I think it's the something use license agreement. That might be what that is, because it's going to ask you to accept a license agreement. So this example shows that they did it against the SysInternals zip file that was on the desktop. And right here, zone identifier data 185 for that. Since the file has this identifier, additional security measures are added to the properties. And so if we go to SysInternals zip file and click on properties, we will see that this file came from another computer and might be blocked to help protect this computer. And then you can unblock it if you want to by checking that unblock mark. And that's essentially it for streams. So I'm gonna run streams against the zip file on the desktop, and hopefully it won't take forever like the other one did. So let's do clear screen, and that's CLS for Windows, by the way. It's not clear, it's CLS if you want to clear it. So now I'm going to do streams, and I'm going to choose the path for the zip file. So it's going to be on the desktop, and sysinternal suite.zip, and then accept user agreement. And let's see how long that takes. Okay, thankfully that was instantaneous. So there you go. This is the zone identifier, the data variable, and it says 139. And this one was 185. So that's, I guess there's a little bit of a difference, right? So it says alternate data streams. That's basically what it's doing for us. It's searching for the alternate data streams. It's an attribute to the file. Every file has at least one data stream, which is under that variable, and ADS allows files to contain more than one stream of data. So ours is 139 on this particular one, and that's it for streams. And this whole thing is still running in the background. The SigCheck is still running in the background. So I will see how long that takes. You know, you're gonna watch this recording, and I'm gonna track it as I'm doing it, and then we'll see how long that actually takes to finish checking and finish running. So okay, now moving on to SDelete. SDelete is a command line utility that takes a number of options. In any given case, it allows you to delete one or more files and or directories, or to cleanse the free space on a logical disk. That's actually very useful. As per the official documentation, SDelete Secure Delete implemented the Department of Defense 5220 22M clearing and sanitizing protocol. And this is the specific protocol. So it says it's a wipe method. Data sanitization method is usually implemented in the following way. Pass 1 writes a 0 and verifies the write. Pass 2 writes a 1 and verifies the write. And pass 3 writes a random character and verifies the write. The source is from LifeWire, and you're more than welcome to read on this if you wanted to look into that and read the rest of it. SDelete has been used by adversaries and is associated with MITRE techniques T1485 for data destruction and 1070.004 for indicator removal on host file deletion. The MITRE ID is S0195, and we can view it more in detail by going to the SDelete page for SysInternals. Other tools fall under the file and disk utilities category. I encourage you to explore these at your own leisure. And so that's the doc for SysInternals downloads, file and disk utilities, and then you can see other stuff for that. But I mean, I guess we can kind of see what SDelete will do, but I don't want to run it and accidentally delete anything. So we'll just leave it as just reading this portion and understanding where it came from and what it does specifically. So that is what we'll do. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to do for SDelete. Now we have the question for this task. It says there's a txt file on the desktop called file.txt. Using one of the 3 discussed tools in this task, what is the text within the ADS? The text within the ADS. And so it says first use the streams command to get the name of the hidden file, streams file.txt, then use Notepad to view the contents of the hidden file, Notepad file text example, and then replace example with the name of the file you discovered when you ran streams. Okay, so first what we're going to do is we're actually going to run streams, and I think we need to be on the desktop. So I'm going to go to the administrator's desktop. I'm going to do dir, and then yeah, we have the file.txt. So I'm going to do streams and do file.txt, and so it gives us this right here. And so users administrator file.txt, reveal NTFS alternate streams, so on and so forth. And it says, I mean, data 26, that's basically all it says. So unless I am mistaken, so the command is streams file.txt, then use Notepad to view the contents, file.txt example, replace example with the name of the file you discovered when you ran streams. And there is no, oh, maybe it's ads.txt. I think that's what that is. It's, let me zoom in right here. I think ads.txt is the name of the file that we discovered. And so if we go back to this other one that we ran up here, there's zone identifier that is attached to the SysInternals suite zip file. So that's probably how we read this, is that that's what's been attached to the data variable. And so in this case, ads.txt was attached to the data variable for that. And so the command again is notepad file.txt and then colon ads.txt. So notepad file.txt:/ads.txt, and that's going to open it for us. And here it is. This is actually very cool. This is useful. So it says, I am hiding in the stream. And so let me see if I can just copy this and paste it here. And there it is. We got our answer. That was actually very cool. I like that. I like the fact that we can find things in the data stream. It's like we're becoming full-fledged analysts here. How crazy is this? Okay, so that was it for the file and disk utilities. And now we're going to move into networking utilities. TCPView is our first networking utility. Based on the official definition, it's a Windows program that will show you detailed listings of all TCP and UDP endpoints on your system, including the local and remote addresses and state of TCP connections. On Windows Server 2008, Vista, and XP, TCPView also reports the name of the process that owns the endpoint. It provides a more informative and conveniently presented subset of the netstat program that ships with Windows, and the download includes TCPVcon, a command line version of that basically does the same thing on command line. So this is a good time to mention that Windows has a built-in utility that provides the same functionality. It's called Resource Monitor. There are many ways to open this tool. From the command line, we could just use resmon and it'll open up Resource Monitor, and it looks like this. The expand TCP connections to view the remote address for each process with an outbound connection. And so that would be done under TCP connections for where? So I guess it's under view, right? Let's see. Process with network. Oh, you know what? It might actually be under this thing. So I'll run it in a little bit and then we'll actually get some stuff. So this tool can be called from the Performance tab within Task Manager. Look at the bottom left for the link to open Resource Monitor. So we could always do that. And that's under Task Manager. We did Task Manager in the core Windows processes video, so you can go learn much more about that. It's actually a very cool tool. It's not just to do Control-Alt-Delete and to force things to close. So now back to TCPView. So we do that, and this is the TCPView GUI, the graphical user interface, and we can apply additional filtering by turning off TCP4, V6, UDP4, V6 at the top toolbar, depending on which protocols we want to display, which is these things right here. We can also click on the green flag to use states filter, which is also very cool. Opens the states filter, which provides an extensive list of options to select which connection we want to display. Most of the connection states available apply to only TCP connections. UDP, being a connectionless protocol, cannot offer this flexibility. The list below shows all TCPv4 and v6 connections in any state except the listen state. For instance, we notice that we have one connection in an established state and another in a close wait state. In the below image, they unselected the listen and connection states from the states filter and turned off UDP-v4 and v6, and this is what the output was. Now the output only displays processes with an established outbound connection. Other tools fall under networking utilities, and they encourage us to follow it. So using whois tools, what is the ISP organization for the remote address in the screenshots above? So let's see what we can do. This is the screenshots above, and specifically, I mean, there's a few of the IP addresses, but we can just use the 52.154 right there. And is there any other IP address that we can use? No, that's pretty much it. So 52.154, 52.242. So there's two of them, and we can try to see what we can find over here. But we could just use whois and use the first IP address, which is the bulk of the IP addresses over here, and we can see even what the hint tells us to do. So it says you can use a website like whois to get the organization name. Unfortunately, the answer provided by Talos Intelligence is different and won't be accepted, although it is also correct. So I guess I could just do this. Since I can use this, I'm literally just going to open it up in my own browser, and we're going to look for 52.154.170 73, 52, 154, 170, 73. By the way, it literally just started pouring rain. I don't know if the thunder came through. I don't know if the sound of the thunder came through, but that was gnarly. And now it's literally pouring rain. So I hope that it doesn't increase too much background noise, but if it does, I apologize in advance. So let's see, it says, what is the name of the ISP organization for the remote address? So ISP organization is Microsoft Corporation MSFT. That might not be it, or maybe it is. Maybe I just need to remove the MSFP. So boom, boom, and there it is. We got the right answer for this. We can always actually do TCPView just to open it up, just to test it out. So let's do TCPView. And of course accept the user license agreement, and there it is. There's TCPView. We got all these things, and we can turn off UDP-v4, v6, and then what else did they turn off so we can get hopefully the same result or a similar result. They did, what is it, in the image below I unselected listen in the connection states and turned off UDP-v4 and v6. So we're going to go here, unselected listen, and it's right there, and do OK. And we only got one. We only got one IP address. So they got way more than that. But that's it. That's it for TCPView that was inside the networking utilities task. And it's actually only one. So now we can move on to the next one, which is process utilities. All right, process utilities. The first one is Autoruns. Some of these require us to run as an administrator, so I will restart the command prompt as an admin. So Autoruns, the official definition is this utility, which has the most comprehensive knowledge of auto-starting locations of any startup monitor, shows you what programs are configured to run during system boot up or login. And when you start various built-in Windows applications like Internet Explorer, media players, these programs and drivers include ones in your startup folder, run once, and other registry keys, Autoruns reports, Explorer shells extension, toolbars, browser help objects, yada yada yada. So it has anything to do with Autoruns and running things, I guess. So this is a good tool to search for any malicious entries created in the local machine to establish persistence. That's always good, because as a hacker, we want to be establishing persistence, but as a security analyst, you want to make sure that you catch all that stuff and kick them out. So below is a snapshot of Autoruns showing the first couple of items from the Everything tab. And so there's a lot of tabs, as you can see right here. Normally there are a lot of entries in this tab because it's everything. All the tabs within the application. Click on each tab to inspect the items associated with each. The below image is a snapshot of the Image Hijacks tab. And there's only one item under Image Hijacks. That doesn't sound good. There shouldn't even be one item, I feel like, right? And so that's it before we move on to the next one. So I am going to check that out, actually. So let's see if we can run this with the current command line. So Autoruns. Yep, okay, it works. And so what do we got here? We got three things. So app init, WMI, and Office. Those things are Autoruns. Let's see if we can find that. What is it? In Image Hijacks? Where's that? Right here. Image Hijacks. And there's nothing here. That's good. Going back to everything, something else just came in. Internet Explorer, boot, execute, app init, WMI, and Office. Very interesting. Okay, good to know. There's a lot of other things in here too, right? So we could app init, that's one of the things that was listed. And there isn't anything that Autoruns under that. There's drivers. There's nothing under here. What else do we got that might be interesting? When log on. So, I mean, it's a virtual machine, so I really don't expect much to be in here. But this is one of those tools that's actually very, very useful. It sounds really useful. So I can imagine that it might be, oh, and it's gonna take a minute to cancel. Goodness gracious. Let's see. Let's see, we can go immediately to our task manager right there. And from there, we can choose the Autoruns, probably. Is it here? This is all the stuff. And I don't want to see all the stuff. I want to see just the ones that are running right now. So let's see if we can do Autoruns. This is going by PID. I want to go by process name and go to Autoruns. And I want to force quit. There has to be a force quit for this thing. Kill process. There we go. Yes, I want to kill that. There you go. Task manager is very sweet. I love that thing. Okay. That was Autoruns. Let's now go into ProcDump, which sounds like process dump. So let's see what that does. Official definition of ProcDump is that it's a command line utility whose primary purpose is monitoring an application for CPU spikes and generating crash dumps during a spike that an administrator or developer can use to determine the cause of the spike. So ProcDump, we run it, and it looks like this. So monitors a process and writes a dump file when the process exceeds the specific or specified criteria or it has an exception. So alternatively, you can use the Process Explorer to do the same and right click on the process to create a mini dump or full dump of the process. For some reason, I really love saying dump right now. And so we can right click on the process in Process Explorer, create a dump, create a mini dump or a full dump, a dump truck. Please refer to the example listed on the ProcDump page to learn about all the very available options with running this tool. Oh wow, there you go. That is thunder and lightning in the background. That was pretty gnarly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this real quick because I want to see what it looks like inside the command line. And there's that. And so it seems like it didn't, oh, you know what? Because I need to actually choose something. So it just told us what the use case for this is. And there's a lot of different use cases. So it just told us what it is, which is basically the description that they showed at the top right here as well. So from here, we can go to what? They said Process Explorer. And from Process Explorer, we could probably create a little dump. So let me see, Process Hackers right here. Process Explorer. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Process Explorer should actually be inside this suite. So if I go to File Explorer, and inside that, there should be SysInternals suite, and then there should be something called Process Explorer right here. Yep, ProcExp. So ProcExp, run that. It should open up Process Explorer for us, and then from that, we should be able to right-click on something and create a dump. I thoroughly enjoy saying that. Probably enjoy too much saying that freaking thing, but it is what it is. I don't know. Judge me all you want. I don't care. I just like saying it. And so here we go. We got Process Explorer. There is a process here called Amazon SSM, and then we can go create dump and a mini dump or a full dump. That's all I wanted to see. That's all I wanted to see. That's it. Okay, so ProcDump. That is it for ProcDump. Now moving on to Process Explorer. I shouldn't have even closed it. It was literally right there. But okay, we are now moving into Process Explorer. All right, so since it took a second for it to start, I'm gonna do Process Explorer in the command line. Wow, that was actually really fast compared to the last one. So Process Explorer was also one of the things that we did in the core processes video. So if you've seen that, then you should be very familiar with this. So it displays two sub-windows. The top window always shows a list of the currently active processes, whereas the information in the bottom window depends on the mode that the process is in. If it's in handle mode, you'll see the handles that the process selected. if it's in DLL mode, you'll see the DLLs and memory mapped files. And so we can just run that and it'll open up. Was touched on slightly with the core Windows processor room. Yep, it was. Process Hacker was intentionally used in that room to broaden your exposure to various tools. And since much of the basic foundation information was discussed in core Windows, will be briefly touched here. So in the following images, we'll look at the SVC host 3636 more closely, which is this thing right here. And there would be multiple instances of that, as you will see from the core Windows processes video. It can have multiple instances. So let's see, so this is what it looks like if we open up the properties of it. And so we have, for that particular example, it's using a web client service. It's associated with the web client that is needed to connect to live SysInternals. There should be a web traffic listed in the TCP/IP tab. Since we can't do live SysInternals and we're using the command line, this is not going to apply to us. It would be wise to check if the IP is what we actually assume it is, and that's the IP that we actually ran the whois query against. Various online tools can be utilized to verify the authenticity of an IP address. For this demonstration, we're going to use Talos, which I've also done a video on for the cyber threat intelligence video, excuse me. And we went into Talos, and that's also, very, very powerful tool, very useful. And it's on talosintelligence.com. As mentioned in the description, we can see that open handle is associated with process in the bottom window, which is all of these things right here. And as an open handle in the connection to the remote web app folder, there's an option with ProcDump to verify signatures. So verify signer right here. Once enabled, it shows up as a column with the process view, and other options include run at logon, replace task manager. You may have noticed that some of the processes within the Process Explorer have different colors. They have meaning. So this is the color coding. And I'm not going to read through all of this right now. You are more than welcome to pause it and read through this if you want. And then the next one is going to be Process Monitor. So that's what it is for Process Explorer. Let me zoom back out real quick. And then if we click on something, so kind of bring this up a little bit so we could see it, right? If we click on something, we can see the base, so con host or CSRSS. That was one that we covered inside the core processes video. We'll see the keys associated with it, the process associated with it specifically, and you can even click on something like it. So if we click on, and I can actually go to the SVC host. We could use one of these things and go on the properties of this, and there's nothing in TCP/IP for this. The image is exactly what it's supposed to look like, and it's in the Windows System 32 and all of that good-ish. So we didn't use this much, or I guess we're not covering it much because of the fact that we talked about it in the core processes video. But this is something that very much could just replace Task Manager, as they said, because if you just saw, I used the Task Manager to kill one of the things that we were working on. So you could do the same thing. So you could go here and you could literally kill that process. So this could replace the Task Manager if you wanted it to. Other options to note right here: run at logon and replace Task Manager. So all of those things can be applied to the Process Explorer. Process Monitor is an advanced monitoring tool for Windows that shows real-time file system registry and process thread activity. It combines the features of two legacy SysInternal utilities, File Monitor and Registry Monitor, and adds an extensive list of enhancements including rich and non-destructive filtering, comprehensive event properties such as the session IDs, usernames, reliable process information, full thread stacks with integrated symbol support for simultaneous logging to a file, and a lot more. Its powerful features will make Process Monitor a core utility in your system, troubleshooting and malware hunting toolkit. So to launch it, we're just going to run procmon, and this is what it would look like. So it says, let's see, I set a filter to capture all the events related to PID 3888, which is Notepad. You can see some of the file operations that were captured in the file path or registry that it occurred on and the operation result, right? So that's that, and I want to kind of run that just to see how you can do that. I will capture thousands upon thousands of events occurring within the operating system. The option to capture events can be toggled on and off, which is this thing. And in this proc1 example, the session captured events only for a few seconds. Look at how many events were captured in that short space of time. 799,000 events. That's crazy. So to use proc1 effectively, you must use the filter and must configure it properly. And so this is the process monitor filter. The process name is Notepad, and then include the PID, which is for that process specifically, and then apply, and that's what they got from the previous results, right? So if filter was already set to capture events associated with this. Alternatively, a filter could have been set to capture events with the process name Notepad. Here's a useful guide on configuring ProcMon. To fully understand the output from some of these tools, you need to understand some Windows concepts such as processes and threads and Windows API calls, which I have not done those rooms. I wonder if these are rooms. No, these are just articles that go to Microsoft. So I do want to open this. Oh, let me extend my machine timer so it doesn't die on me. And what was it? It was ProcMon, right? That's how we run it. And it opens this up right here. Very cool. And so here are our filters. This is the filter. So the, for example, process name is, and then we can do notepad.exe. You did not add the item you were editing, add it now. Wait, hold on, cancel. And then PID 3888. Now add it. Okay, apply. Nothing. I guess we can also do capture events real quick. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then turn that off. And the current filter includes 98,000 events. Wait, is it still running? Okay, now it's stopped. Okay, very good. So 99,404 events with the current filter, but it doesn't show me anything. So that's really annoying. Let's click on the filter again. And I just want to see something. Can I see this? Yeah, it's not going to show me anything. Okay, well, whatever. At least now we know how to open it and kind of how to use filters and capture events. So it will, to learn this further, we would need to go ahead and study more up on this, I feel like, because this seems like this is a very, very short introduction to all of these things, including the rest of the stuff that we just saw. So it's like it's not, yeah, not much has been shown here, and it's still capturing events. Oh my god. So let me stop capturing events. Very good. But show me the events at least. I want to see the events. This is what's annoying here, is that it didn't show me that stuff. So whatever. Either way, at the very least we got that. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. So if you figured out how to do this, and if you were able to actually see some results in your specific task when you were running this, then please tell me, because I'm very interested in seeing some kind of a result from this. This is kind of annoying that this did not happen here, but it's neither here nor there, because we must move on. The show must go on, as they say. Okay, so we are now going from Process Monitor to PsExec, and we've used PsExec for a lot of pen testing exercises. So let's look at it from the security analyst perspective. PsExec is a lightweight telnet replacement that lets you execute processes on other systems, complete with full interactivity for console applications without having to manually install client software. The most powerful uses including include launching interactive command prompts on remote systems. That's why we used it in pen testing so often. And remote enabling tools like ipconfig that otherwise do not have the ability to show information about remote systems. And so if we run it, PsExec, I guess this particular thing, the output just from what it shows right here is that it's just showing us what we can do with it, and I'm sure there's going to be several options. It's utilized by adversaries, yes it is, and we've done a lot of stuff with that. It's associated with the MITRE techniques T1570, lateral tool transfer, T1021 002, remote services T1569 002, and the MITRE ID for it is S0029. You can review this tool more in depth by visiting the SysInternals PsExec page. You can also check out this resource page. Other tools fall under process utilities category. Obviously there's a lot of stuff, but this is just a handful of them. And if I just run PsExec just as a command so we can see what it shows us from the analyst side, because I've ran this under the hacker side plenty of times. This is kind of what we get over here. So these are just all the commands that are available, and the machine expired, which is annoying because I did extend the time. You saw me extend the time, so that's very annoying. I might have to restart this whole thing and kind of just run from, or pick up where we left off basically. So run Autoruns and inspect what are the new entries in the image hijacks tab compared to the screenshots above. What entry was updated? So Autoruns we did run, and there was nothing inside the image hijacks as far as what I saw. So if we run Autoruns, and then, so let's review it one more time. We can run it. First couple of items from the everything tab, normally there's a bunch of stuff here. There, each tab to inspect. Below is a screenshot of image hijacks. At this time there's only one item listed, which was the shell open command for Internet Explorer. And I mean, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to run Autoruns one more time, just so we can try to see if we can get any of that answer. So Autoruns, there it is. We're going to let it kind of load for a second. I guess maybe I didn't give it enough time for it to load, because I do remember that under the everything tab, there was a bunch of stuff that did load. So we are going to see which entry was updated, and it's going to be under the image hijacks, and let's see what that does. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds to load, because there has to be something here. If they're asking us a question about it, there needs to be something that loads here. So we're going to give it a couple of seconds to load. And this was actually the one that we also had to, or I manually used Task Manager to end the process for, which means that it was probably still running, it was still operating, and there was, there it is, finally. Okay, so it was running, that's why when I tried to close it, it took such a long time to close. So it says which entry was updated compared to the stuff that was up here, and the only thing that they show us here is Internet Explorer. So the answer can only be Internet Explorer, but there is several things. There's Task Manager, that's been here twice, and then we have iexplore.exe. So it says, what is the question? It says which one? What is it? Which entry was updated? Okay, so let's try this. iexplore.exe. Okay, that's not the answer. So Task Manager would be the only one. Maybe that's what they mean. It's like which entry was added. Maybe that's what they mean. Because updated means that it was an old entry that now has been updated. That's how I would decipher it. But it is saying which one was added, I guess. So which is Task Manager. And now it says, what is the updated value of Task Manager? So we go here, and the value seems to be this right here. So let's copy that and see if that is indeed it. And that is indeed it. So this is it right here. when you click on it, it populates down here. But I think there's probably, if we just kind of shrink this down, there's probably going to be something else under, yeah, under all of these things. Or we can just scroll down. And no, it's not down there. Oh, image path might be the value that they're referring to because it's the same answer. It just doesn't say, sometimes it says value as the actual column name, but in this particular case, it is image path that you're looking for, or you just click on it and it will be right down here as well. So that is it for Autoruns, and that is it for the questions of this particular task, which was our process utilities task. So now we're going to move on to security utilities, but before that, I'm just going to refresh the page and hope that the machine that we're on didn't actually end and we don't have to restart it. So in either case, when you see this, everything's going to be all good, and we're going to be reading into security utilities next. All right, SysMon, also known as System Monitor, is a Windows system service and device driver that once installed on a system remains resident across system reboots to monitor and log system activity on the events log. It provides detailed information about process creations, network connections, and changes to file creation time by collecting the events it generates using the event collection or SIM agents and subsequently analyzing them. You can identify malicious or anomalous activity and understand how intruders and malware operate on your network. And SysMon, System Monitor, is a comprehensive tool, and it can't be summarized in just one section. I don't think any of these things can be summarized in just one section, but there is a specific room for it, which is, let's see, I don't think I've done this. No, I haven't done it. So that, I mean, that's probably next in the pathway. Honestly, I feel like that's one of the big ones that we have to learn how to do, especially since we're going to be combining it with, event collection or SIM agents, just to try to find malicious activity and stuff like that. So there's a lot of other stuff that probably falls under security utilities, and this is just the scratch of the surface. So that is it for the security utilities task and system monitor. We are now going to jump into system information. WinObj this is a very weird thing. I'm guessing it's Windows object, but WinObj is a 32-bit Windows NT program that uses the native Windows API provided by NTDLL DLL to access and display information on the NT Object Manager namespace. To showcase this tool, let's look into the concept of session 0 and session 1 that was mentioned in core Windows. So session 0 represents the system, session 1 represents the user. That session is the OS session, there you go, and session 1 is the user session. Also recall that there will be at least 2 CSRSS processes running, one for each session. Session 1 will be for the first user logged into the system. And so the below image shows the default view for WinObj. With session 0, within session 0, under DOS services, right here probably, there's an entry for the network drive I mounted in my local machine, which we don't have because we weren't able to do this, because we weren't able to do the live SysInternals, right? So if we look at the Windows Station value for session 1, it will be Windows Station 0. We can compare this with the Process Explorer, the below image for CSRSS, which was launched along with WinLog on and SMSS. And so that's what that looks like. This is a high level exposure for this tool. Obviously, there's other things on this thing, obviously. And so we can try to see what this would look like for us, right? So I think I might be able to close Autoruns for now, and I can clear the screen, and I will do WinObj accept EULA, and this will open up here. And so what they talked about is that so within session 0 under DOS services, so we have sessions right here, and there should be more than one session. So session 0, which is Windows, is that yeah, so that's an individual item, so that's within session 0. Let's expand this a little bit if we can, and shrink this a little bit if we can. Symbolic link, and it's at Windows. We have session 1, which is us, the user, and it seems to be nothing in there, and there's session 2. That's odd. Session 1, there we go. Session 0, expand that a little bit. App container named objects, nothing in there. This is in here. There we go. Okay, good stuff. So now there's other things in here, and then RPC control is empty. So we have the local symbolic link, session global, and this is all under session 0. And then if we go to session 1 here, and app container named objects, we have this as well, and same thing. So nothing that, I mean, I don't know what I'm looking at, or I don't know what to look for. There's the DOS devices. There we go. That's what it was. So DOS devices is what they're referring to. And let's zoom out here. And so they said within session 0 under DOS devices, there's an entry for the network drive. So since we didn't have that, I guess it doesn't really apply to us. But these are all the DOS devices, and it all says the same. Everything over here is listed as the same. So that doesn't really apply to us. Under DOS devices of session 1, there's nothing there because it's not the OS itself. It's me as the user. And then there's base name objects that has, ooh, wow, look at that. There's a bunch of stuff here. Most of this stuff we're not going to analyze right now, but so these are Windows objects, right? So that's basically what we're looking at here. And that is pretty much it for Windows objects. So yeah, there you go. So that's it. This is the system information task, and very much an overview. I mean, most of these things we're barely doing even what could be considered a decent overview. They're just mentioning that these things exist. And I'm only guessing that they're saying this because there's going to be rooms about these things that we're going to look at later. So this is kind of a high level, super high level overview of all of these things. So now from here, we're going to go into the final category, which is the miscellaneous category. And I can only imagine how many things are going to be in there. So let's jump into it, and we're going to wrap the room. BgInfo, it displays the relevant information about a Windows computer on a desktop's background, such as the computer name, IP address, service pack version, and more. And so this is a handy utility if you manage multiple machines. This tool or similar tools are typically utilized on servers. When a user RDPs into a server, the system information is displayed on the wallpaper to provide quick information about the server, such as the server's name. And so this would be a BgInfo screen from what it looks like. And it has the boot time, the CPU, default gateway, so on and so forth. These are all the different fields that are available to it, and refer to the SysInternals BgInfo page. So let's run it, and let's actually see what we can kind of discover real quick. Because, of course, this is going to be, whoops, I may have mistyped that, except EULA. There we go. And so here it is. This is BgInfo. And as the other screenshot, it's basically identical to this other screenshot. And I can't click on anything. Maybe I can click on it over here. So if I double click this, oh, it added it. So now I have another CPU that I just added right here. I see. Oh, I see what this is. I see what this is. Okay, so this is for, yeah, I understand. So just input it right here. So now I can delete it, because this is basically all text. So instead of writing all of these things manually, you could literally just go here, press enter, and say network card, add. There you go. And subnet mask, add. There you go. So these things are all manageable via a couple of clicks, which actually does make it pretty easy to kind of do right here. So if you're doing a lot of virtual machine setups, or machine setups and you're on the main server, this is kind of how you would do it. And then we would click apply, and then it would apply these things. Although I feel like these are temporary placeholders, so you may need to put this in somewhere. And I mean, now I'm guessing, because we have to do more research on this to be able to officially understand what the hell this thing actually does. And I do not want to save those changes. But so that's BgInfo, and it's handy if we want to manage multiple machines. And there's a lot of stuff that can probably be done with this to either virtualize or manage other machines and computers, so on and so forth. So that was it for BgInfo, and now we're going to go to RegJump, registry jump, excuse me. I keep saying dump because I'm excited about it. But jump, so registry jump. This little command line applet takes a registry path and makes registry edit, open to that path. It accepts root keys in standard, H key local machine, and abbreviated form HKLM local machine. And that's all they give us. When navigating through the registry using registry editor, one must manually drill down the key that you wish to inspect, but you can also just type it at the top right here, so you don't need to one by one click any of these things and go down. So there are multiple ways to query the Windows registry without using the registry editor, such as via command line, reg query, registry query, and PowerShell get item property. Using RegJump will open the registry editor and automatically open the editor directly at the path, so one doesn't need to navigate it manually. Okay, so RegJump, and this is what the usage would be. So if I did RegJump HKLM yada yada yada, it would just open it up to the path, which again, I feel like in this particular case, it's much easier to do it here because you can it gives you autofill. So I'll do it right here just so you can kind of see what this does. So I'm actually going to, is it available on the desktop here? It's not. So I'm going to search for it real quick just so we can kind of see registry editor, and it'll open it up for us right here. And then if we go to the search bar, or the I guess it's called the search bar, but it's like this browser right here. So if I go to this browser, and so we're just going to go very, very high up here, and we'll click on local machine, and you see how there's this path right there, right? And you can even start at computer, but let's say local machine or current user, let's say. So let's say current user, and you know that you want to go into the console, or even if you don't, if I just do that backslash, now you see how there's all these things that have shown up right here. So I can do console, and then I do another backslash, and it gives me everything else about it. So I can do, system root, but then it's already filled in for me, right? So that might be another, like a app events, maybe. We can do app events and then backslash, and then schemes, and then backslash, and then apps, backslash, and then explorer, probably backslash with that too. Look at that. So this way you don't have to actually manually click and search through all this. What they're talking about with the registry editor, which if you know where you're trying to go, is useful. I'm not going to say that it's not useful, but more often than not, especially if you're like new to this kind of stuff, you're not going to know where you're trying to go. It's almost impossible. Like, you need to use the registry editor to find these things. But if I went and did RegJump, so if I want to do registry jump, HK local machine, and then I want to do system and current control set, so that's basically what they said, services and web client, and then accept EULA, and so it would open it up for me. Look at that, fancy. Okay, that's great, that's awesome, but I would need to kind of figure this out. I would need to know where I'm trying to go, or at least what that registry is, to be able to jump to it. So it's useful, sure. I'm not going to say that it's not useful, especially if you're doing advanced cases and you are super experienced with the machine and the server, and you know where everything is and what you're doing and all that stuff. I completely understand. I'm not going to knock it in any way. I just think that for somebody who's a beginner, or kind of entry level into this type of stuff, you need to be able to see where you're going before you can search for it. And that's just my opinion. You don't have to take my opinion. Obviously, you could say I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and you would probably be right. So, so that's neither here nor there. But that's pretty much it for RegJump or registry jump, RegJump, whatever it is. And now we can move into strings. And there's a little question at the bottom here for strings for us too. So let's go into strings. Strings just scans the file you pass it for Unicode or ASCII strings of a default length of 3 or more Unicode or AC characters. Note that it works under Windows 95 as well. Look at that. This is the tool that was used on day 21 of AOC to inspect a mysterious binary. Oh, you know what? Advance of Cyber 2. I don't know if that was the one that they just did, or Advent of Cyber, whatever it was, but they did something for Christmas at the end of 2023. And I want to say, I don't think this was it. I think, I don't know if it was Advent of Cyber 2. I feel like it was a little bit more advanced of a room than that. But it's cool to know that they've used this previously before. Actually, no, it was that one, because I do remember using strings to inspect a mysterious binary. So the example below strings is used to search within the zoomit binary for any string containing the word zoom. And so the question that they have to ask us right here, it says, what is the full path to the .pdb file? And so find string I zoom. So I guess I'm going to do find string, and then I'm going to do asterisk or asterisk.pdb. I think that's what I'm probably going to search for. So let's zoom out of this real quick. Can you zoom out or no? There we go. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into the tools SysInternal first. And here we are. And now we're going to do strings.zoomit.exe. And we're going to find the string that has anything to do with, I'm just going to put it in quotes, asterisk pdb, and enter. And that does not show anything, so we'll do it without the quotes. And that doesn't give me anything either. So that's kind of annoying. So let's see what we can do. Maybe we'll remove the asterisk at the very end and see if that works. Okay, didn't have to do the asterisk, I guess, whatever. So it says, what is the full path to the PDB file? So being that we only search for zoomit, I'm just going to take this one. And I can't, oh, I see, I can't copy it because it's command line. That's also very annoying about Windows command line. In Linux, you can copy anything by right-clicking. And I don't want to accidentally do Control-C and have it do something funky because, well, I guess it's not a, whatever. We're just going to type it, who cares? Agent. And there it is. So lovely for us to be able to use strings to find something within something. That is pretty useful, honestly, I'm not going to lie. And as we go through more applicable or practical cases, we will get to see what the use case for a lot of these things are. So that was it for the last individual item under our miscellaneous task. And now we can jump into the conclusion of this. In conclusion, when you read the documentation of SysInternals, it might hint these tools are for troubleshooting purposes, but that is not entirely the case. You should be familiar or know that SysInternal tools, whether you're a desktop engineer, system analyst, or security engineer, real world scenario, as a security engineer, the person who wrote this room had to work with vendors to troubleshoot why an agent wasn't responding on an endpoint. The tools used were Process Explorer, Process Monitor, and ProcDump. So Process Explorer to inspect the agent processes, its properties and associated threads and handles. Process Monitor to investigate if there were any indicators on why the agent was not operating as it should. And Process Dump to create a dump of the agent process to send to the vendor for further analysis. And guess what? Asking questions about SysInternals became part of the interview questions when hiring additional staff. So remember, red teamers and adversaries even use these tools. Below are some additional links. So there's Mark's blog, Mark being the CTO of Microsoft, Windows blog archive, License to Kill, malware hunting with SysInternals. It's a YouTube video, and malware hunting with Mark Rusinovich and the tools, and that's another YouTube video. I'm actually very interested in running all of those things, and I would highly recommend you go through those as well. Some of the videos, blogs are a bit outdated, but they're still good to review as it showcases how these things are used extensively. This will build your foundation on the tools that have been covered. So we are now wrapped with SysInternals, and that was very, very useful to know, honestly, even though it was an overview. This thing is still running. So the SigCheck on Windows System 32, all the executables, is still freaking running. Maybe it's not working because that initial option for the network thing that we had to do to set up SysInternals live, the network discovery. Maybe it's because that's not available, that it's not working, or it's taking so long to do, but whatever. Or it could just be that the machine that we're on is super slow because it is a virtual machine, and tryhackme has to limit how much CPU, or not CPU, how much RAM these things use, because they have many, many students. But apart from that, everything else worked, and we were able to learn some good information. So I hope you learned some really good information from this, and I highly recommend that you go through all of the extra reading materials and learning materials that they recommended as well. Alright, so if you found anything useful from this video, if you learned anything from this video, or if you were merely entertained and you just had an entry to this SysInternals suite, whatever the case may be, if you got any value from it in any way, I would humbly and kindly, sincerely appreciate it if you could give us a like, a follow, or subscribe, I guess, since we're on YouTube. Turn on that notification bell, and of course drop a comment, because all of those activities actually help the YouTube algorithm give us more reach and find us and kind of expand our reach so that we can grow the community and so on and so forth. And honestly, I would very much love it if you were a part of the community as well. And I drop videos like this at least once a day, so you will be getting good content, and you will learn a lot about cybersecurity and network security, system security, of course, ethical hacking, because that's the fun part of all these things. And yeah, it would just be an honor to have you be a part of our community, to be a part of our channel. So that's all I'm going to say about that. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, and your favorite network and system attacker. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned a lot from it. Peace, love, and chicken grease. I will see you in the next video. Peace.